Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're tuning in because we are embarking on a really exciting mission today. We're going to uncover the ultimate master rulebook that literally runs our entire country. I mean, think about it. A country with over 1 billion people needs some serious teamwork to function, right? And today, we're going to learn exactly how all of that teamwork is actually organized.
Okay, before we get into it, I want you to imagine something totally wild. What if your school had absolutely zero rules? Just picture it for a second. It would be absolute chaos. You'd have students just showing up to school at totally random times in the morning. People would start eating their lunch right in the middle of a math class whenever they felt like it. Or imagine you're playing snakes and ladders with your friends and there are just no rules about whose turn it is. Everyone would just be fighting over the dice, and there'd be shouting and howling every single time you even tried to play a game.
It's literally chaos versus order, isn't it? On one side, without rules, we have a world with no traffic lights, no school guidelines, and absolutely no instructions. And that leads straight to confusion, accidents, and fighting over games. It makes it super difficult for people to just work together. But on the flip side, we have order. Rules bring us safety, fair treatment, and the actual ability to learn properly and stay safe. Basically, rules exist to maintain order and keep chaos out of our daily lives.
So here is our game plan for today. We're going on an epic 6-step journey to see how we solve that chaos on a massive countrywide scale. We're going to look at why we need rules, check out the ultimate rulebook itself, decode its introduction called the Preamble, and then explore our rights, our duties, and finally the rules the government actually has to follow.
All right, step 1, why we need rules, escaping the chaos.
Moving right along to step 2, the ultimate rulebook, the Constitution.
So think back to when India first gained independence from British rule. We desperately needed a grand solution to fix any potential chaos and organize this brand new nation. So a group of brilliant leaders called the Constituent Assembly got to work, under the chairmanship of Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar. And get this, they drafted the longest written constitution in the entire world. It was officially adopted on November 26, 1949, but it officially came into effect a little later, on January 26, 1950. And that is exactly why we celebrate January 26th every single year as our Republic Day.
But what exactly is a constitution? Put simply, it's the ultimate rule book of a country, through which it is governed. You can think of it as the massive master instruction manual for all of India. Literally everything the government does has to follow this one book.
Okay, step 3, the Preamble explained, the introduction. If you crack open this ultimate rulebook, the very first page is this special introduction called the Preamble. Let me read this quote to you because it is incredibly powerful. It says, "We the people of India do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution." Did you catch that? It doesn't say we the kings or we the rulers. It specifically says we the people. That means the ultimate power to make all these rules comes directly from everyday people, just like you and me.
Right after that line, the Preamble hits us with 5 massive words. Think of these as the 5 superpowers or the founding ideals of our whole country. They are sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, and republic.
I know those sound like giant vocabulary words, so let's quickly decode them. Sovereign simply means India is a totally free country. It's not controlled by any other nation. Socialist means everyone is equal and has equal opportunities to get jobs and earn a living. Secular means all religions are treated with equal respect and people are totally free to follow their own beliefs. Democratic means we, the people of India, actually get to elect our own government. And finally, republic means that India has an elected head of state. These 5 ideas are the foundation of basically everything.
Which brings us to step 4, our fundamental rights, your superpowers.
This is where things get super exciting for you as citizens, because the Constitution isn't just a list of boring rules you have to follow. It actually grants you some essential powers to lead a decent life. Here is your personalized superhero toolkit of 6 fundamental rights. Ready? 1. The right to equality, which means everyone is equal before the law. 2. The right to freedom, giving you freedom of speech and the right to travel. 3. The right against exploitation. 4. The right to freedom of religion. 5. Cultural and educational freedom. And 6. The right to constitutional remedies. That last one is amazing, by the way. It means if anyone tries to deny you your rights, you actually have the power to go to court to protect them.
Well, let's actually zoom in on one that specifically protects kids, the right against exploitation. This right legally prohibits the employment of children below the age of 14 in any dangerous jobs. It also ensures that no person can be exploited or forced to work without getting paid. So the Constitution directly steps in to protect children from unfair and dangerous situations.
And hey, speaking of kids, get this. In 2009, the government passed the Right to Education Act. This incredible rule ensures compulsory and free quality education for every single child between 6 and 14 years of age. So, your very right to be sitting in a classroom right now, learning and growing, is quite literally protected by this amazing rulebook.
All right, step 5, our fundamental duties, what you give back. Now, let's flip the script for a second. Just as we get all these awesome rights, we also have duties. It's about what we give back. Think of this list as your ultimate how to be an awesome citizen guide. These duties include honoring the national flag and anthem, promoting harmony and a sense of brotherhood among everyone, taking care of public property, protecting our natural environment, and having compassion for living creatures, and even developing a scientific temper and a spirit of inquiry. And here's a totally surprising fact. The original Constitution actually didn't even contain these duties. They were added much later, in 1976, during the 42nd Amendment.
And finally, step 6, rules for the government, directive principles.
You see, in India, it's not just us regular citizens who have to follow the rules. Even the big bosses, the government, have guidelines they have to stick to. Think of this like a giant balancing scale. On one side, we have fundamental rights. Those are the guarantees and superpowers that belong to you, the citizens. But on the other side, we have the directive principles of state policy. These are the instructions and guidelines that the government absolutely must follow. They work together to keep the whole country running smoothly.
So, what kind of instructions are we talking about here? Well, the directive principles tell the government things like they must ensure equal pay for equal work for both men and women. They have to ensure people have proper living conditions. They are specifically instructed to protect the interests of scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes. And they must ensure that children are given opportunities to develop in a healthy manner, in conditions of freedom and dignity. Basically, these principles guide the government to build a fair, healthy, and equal society for all of us.
Wow, look at how far we've come today. From imagining absolute chaos in a classroom to discovering a master rulebook that protects your freedom, guarantees your education, and literally tells the government how to do its job. You now know your fundamental rights and your fundamental duties. So, I'm going to leave you with this one question to think about as you go about your day. Now that you know your rights and your duties, how will you use them to help make your school, your community, and your country better today?